Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASX Investor channel, and welcome to another interview. Today is an interview that I am very excited to be bringing to you all. It's one that you've requested for a long period of time. We all know about the story of Brainchip that has the Akida technology, their flagship technology, a neuromorphic processor that really does have the ability to potentially change the face of AI, machine learning, technology for the future moving forward. Today, we're going to be unpacking the story, exploring what all of it means in a broad conversation about the future of it all with the VP of Sales and Marketing, Rob Telson. He's got a long and storied history in the space. He's got a significant range of experience, and he's going to help to demystify what Akida is, what the opportunities are, and then also what we should be looking for moving forward. Rob, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel.
You know, I got to tell you, it's great to be here. I'm a big fan of yours, and you do a really good job of kind of breaking things down for your viewers, and hopefully one day I can achieve that as well. So it's good to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you join us. Of course, we're going to unpack all things Brainchip and Akida, but I'd like to start, interestingly, with a bit of your background, just to get an understanding about who you are. I heard that initially you're actually planning to go to school for law school, but of course you've got a long and storied history, experienced a long corporate career at ARM, as well as some other different companies around the world. Who are you and how have you ended up here at Brainchip?
That's a great question. So after I finished my education, my plan was to go to law school and be a lawyer. And it just so happened when I explained to my parents how much it would cost them to send me to law school, my dad looked me straight in the face and said, "I'm not paying for law school. You're on your own." And at that point, he said, "I recommend you go get a job." And I ended up in sales, and I ended up selling computer shipping systems. And before I knew it, I ended up in deeper technology solutions and ended up selling software and into the semiconductor space. So it's been a great run. The intellectual property space is one that I've been very familiar with for a long time, and have had the opportunity to see some of the engagements that I've done over the last few decades actually turn into standard household interfaces, household technologies that we see on a daily basis. And so it's exciting to me to be a part of it again. Being able to be a part of very large organizations, build very successful sales organizations, and see us accomplish things and do just move mountains. And at this point in my career, to be able to come back and say, this is a good technology, this is something that's a game changer, and to develop an organization for sales and marketing, be able to spread the word, and as I say, cross this chasm from an early adopter to a standard technology. And that's what we're trying to do right now. Not a simple process by any means, but exciting to be a part of it.
And of course, all of the excitement surrounding Brainchip really does center around the technology. But of course, for some of those newer investors, when they read spiking neural networks, AI processing at the edge, neuromorphic processing, what does it actually mean? And what is that problem that Akida could eventually solve?
Yeah, so the way I like to look at it is, and I was just explaining this to someone earlier today. For those that don't understand the technology or want to learn a little bit more about it, you got to think of it this way. If you're looking at me right now and you're looking at the picture, you're looking at everything that's in my background, a traditional AI processor or AI engine, in order to get to its end result, has to actually analyze and process everything that exists in this image. Same as for a sound, same as for a smell, a vibration, a touch, whatever it is. It has to go through all these different cycles before it gets to the end result. The great thing about Akida and our architecture being neuromorphic is that you kind of break through all the clutter, okay? And you focus specifically on something that's different, something that you're targeting, and that's programmed ahead of time through the neural network that you're working with. And that allows Akida to use very little power, very little energy to get to the end goal. And then the other thing it allows you to do is achieve maximum performance without using a lot of power. So when we apply that in our real world environment, we're talking about these devices that are battery driven, And what used to be, for a layman's term, a phone or a watch, now we're talking cars, and potentially we're talking flying vehicles with no drivers that are unmanned, or and whatever. These are all becoming battery-driven applications. The first thing that an architect has to do when they think of battery-driven applications is, how do I save power? How do I manage power? How do I consume power? What do I need to do? So, but at the same time, I have to have all these compute functionalities in order to do that. So here we are. We are trying to cross this bridge, become mainstay in an environment that is demanding more compute. Don't use a lot of power. Don't burn my battery up. And that's what makes Akida very unique.
And one of the most exciting aspects of Akida is almost the infinite use cases that are available as well. I'd love to just hear some of those explanations and some of those examples that you might have, that where Akida may end up in the future moving forward.
I have to tell you, the dialogues that we have on a daily basis are mind-blowing. From what you would expect, where you would expect Akida to be, to environments in detecting animals out in the wilderness or on a farm that might be sick, or vibrations of bridges or underwater applications. I mean, we're seeing it all. And a lot of it is based off of, wow, we couldn't accomplish this before, but I think with your technology, we can do things that haven't been done before. That's a really exciting spot to be in. That's really, really a great spot to be in. To run a business, though, we have to find those opportunities where we can engage in high volume transactions or large scale engagements for a period of time, something where we're generating a lot of revenue in order to do that. So we have to balance this dance of, wow, that's really cool. Let's go out and detect sick animals all over the world by putting little collars on them, and by a certain recognition of a cough or a smell or a taste or whatever, we can do it, and we can, and that's really cool. But at the same point, we need to make sure that we're in the right applications that you and I are using, and our investors and our followers and our listeners and fans of AI are using on a daily basis.
And I guess to help to conceptualize it for the viewers, how are the current technologies and how's this processing done currently? And also, how do some of these discussions go at the moment where you're like, we've got this new technology, you'd hopefully be able to implement it and get a significant step change in processing and improvement. How do those discussions play out?
That's a great question. And the amazing thing is, there's two types of dialogues that are taking place. There's the dialogue of, I'm really interested in AI. I have this application or this product that's been developed, and I want to see how I can integrate Akida either as IP or in silicon into my device. And then there's the other dialogue of, hey, look, we're experts in this space, and we really don't need your help, but we've heard what we've seen, we've heard, we've listened, and we're really curious about Akida, and it is different. And one of the things that excites me the most is when we're talking to that level, that caliber of person, they get it. And some of the statements that have been made, which I can't repeat, really excite me. That's why I'm all like, yoo-hoo, we're at a really good spot. And when these people validate the technology, and these people have been doing this for a long time, and they've invested a lot of money in AI, and they have AI working today, and they're looking at our product, and they're really diving into it, and they're saying, wow, we can do things we can't do with other products. This is good. Now we have a job from a sales and marketing standpoint to execute on that engagement, and they're not easy to do, and they're not simple transactions. There's a lot of negotiation that goes on. There's a lot of dancing, but at the end of the day, I'm excited about the types of reactions and responses we get from people that I would consider experts in this space.
And I guess just for that state of play at the moment as well, Brainchip really is focusing on transitioning from that R&D organization towards now this commercialization process. There's been a range of different early access partners that have been discussed. We've heard of names like Ford and NASA. Of course, it's a sensitive space, so many others are currently still under NDAs and confidentiality agreements. You're able to just provide that update of kind of where we're positioned at the moment and what that opportunity looks like moving forward with some of those discussions.
Yeah, we do get a lot of feedback, a lot of interest, and a lot of curious comments, and we try to respond to those folks that do send us emails and have questions. A lot of it, we, unfortunately, we're not in a position to talk about because we are in a very competitive space. Our customers are in a very competitive space, and they actually see us as a key differentiator, and they don't want to make it public. But we also have requirements through the different ASX and the OTC and so on. So we're trying to, it's a fine balance on what we have to say and communicate and what we don't have to communicate as well. But I think in short, when I joined Brainchip, what I wanted to see happen was we started to execute on these early access engagements. The only way an early access engagement is successful is if these companies, or I'll call them partners that we engage with, want to continue to do business with us. They see there's value in the technology. They understand how to implement the technology, and they can move forward from there. I'm dead serious. That's success in my book, because if we can get them to transition, then we're doing our job. So we invested a lot of time in making sure they're the right support, the right attention, and a strategy with each of these companies to get from an early access stage to, yes, we can go to production with much more volume. And so in some cases, we've moved faster with some than with others. But I think in all cases, we're making progress, and that's the intention. And part of that, again, for those that are familiar with the technology or not familiar with the technology, is enabling the technology to evolve. And for those of you that have followed our technology and pay attention to some of the demos that we put online on our YouTube channel and so on, pay attention over the next couple of weeks, because we're going to be presenting some new demonstrations of what we're doing with Akida. And remember, this is a learning vehicle. It continues to get smarter and smarter, kind of like a human brain, going from an infancy and up and onwards. That's really cool. And that's what we're doing. So you'll see some pretty cool demos coming out in the future.
Very exciting, and we'll definitely be watching the space. So I think what's interesting as well about the BRN story, it's not only just in the chips, the name Brainchip, I think people instantly think, of course, chips are going to be manufactured, but there's a range of different revenue streams, from the chips to modules, as well as on the IP side, both with the licenses and then ongoing royalties. Can you break that down and kind of how you'll be looking at those different revenue streams moving forward?
Being an IP guy, I was brought in to make sure that we build the IP business, and we build a revenue stream based off of these IP licenses. And these IP licenses, just in traditional business model environment, and they're all unique. I want to emphasize that they're all unique. There's a lot of dials you can twist when you're doing these negotiations, but the intention is to have some type of license fee for that technology that your partner can use for a period of time. And then there's royalties that are applied to that technology, but those royalties are infinite. So those royalties continue as long as these companies are manufacturing their chips. So the potential for revenue continues to grow over time. And that's the goal, is to establish the growth from the IP side. And then you have these royalty revenues that are coming in for a long period of time, and they can just continue to come in. On the same front, we also have AKD 1000. We have a production part. We're in the middle of testing it and validating it. It's passing all the tests on a daily basis. I'm over someone's shoulder going, okay, what are we doing here? What's going on? Show me something cool. And when it comes to silicon, we're doing the same thing. So we're enabling our customers and future customers to purchased volume silicon from us. And again, these are very intricate negotiations. They do take time, but they're very fruitful once you close the deal. Where we see the short-term impact is on development systems. And so we've been testing our website with a backdoor transaction system. So eventually companies will be able to go to our website and acquire our development systems without having to deal with salespeople. Just go ahead and place an order using a credit card and move forward from there. They are an investment, but at the same point, we think we've figured out the threshold. And so we'll have two types of development systems available. We'll have a PC-based x86 shuttle PC development system, and then we'll also have an ARM-based Raspberry Pi development system. Right now, we're just about to, I'll throw a nugget out there by the time this gets released, but we should be commercializing that. It will be taking pre-orders, and I'm actually expecting some excitement around that. So we'll be selling those development systems. The intention of those development systems is to proliferate as many as we can and to have people start using Akida and having Akida become a household name. And for those that move on to some type of silicon development, then they're already familiar with Akida. They've started to design with it. They've tested it. They validated it in their own environment. And now they can go with either silicon engagement, or they can go to an IP license and move forward from there. So that's really the first phase of this commercialization process. In parallel to that, the other aspect of how we generate revenue is by support and implementation support and so on. So you have a lot of these companies that want to get access and integrate AI into their design, but they don't know what to do. They don't have the resources internally. So, because we have a good group of data scientists and research scientists and so on, we can work with them side by side. And some of the announcements we've made in the past, that's what we did. We worked with them. We found the right data sets, the right networks, all the really tough technical aspects of it. And we were able to implement and integrate the technology and start to see accuracy levels and results that our customers are looking for to get them to through that first phase. So, and then moving forward, 2022, 2023, we'll be introducing other technologies and kind of developing it and growing it from there.
It is a really compelling offering, and we'll continue to watch further developments moving forward. I have to ask you as well, I'm sure you might have heard of the comparisons before between Brainchip and ARM. Of course, not only is there potential IP licensing route to market, but along with that, there's a range of different individuals who have come over from ARM, yourself included. And I think you're best placed as well to just speak about some of those similarities, but also some of those opportunities that you see for Brainchip, of course, as an individual company to emulate some of the success or trajectory of ARM moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, first off, ARM's a great company, and for those of us that came from ARM, we all had very fruitful careers in that environment. And I did a podcast with Jem Davies a few months ago, and Jem used that opportunity to highlight from stage 0 all the way to success was over 10 years, right? And it is a process. And so when you take a look at ARM, they've been around for a while, 30 plus years, and probably longer than that. But they've mastered the licensing of IP and evolving their business based off of that. And you really have to give them credit for doing that, from the founders all the way to the guys that are driving the business today. That being said, yeah, because of the fact that we want to focus on IP and make that one of the core components of our business, it made sense to bring over some key folks that understood it, could execute it, can tell the story. And not only that, when you're supporting a customer and you have experience in this space, sometimes you know what the next phase, the next challenge, the next question, what's going to happen. And that's actually worked in our benefit. So customers see that and go, wow, these guys really understand where they're going and what they're doing. And that's what we want in this. Our whole goal in this environment is to make sure that our customers can trust us and really depend on us to help them get the chip to a successful spot. So that's the relationship between ARM and ARM style mentality per se, and the type of guys that we've brought on board here at this point.
And I think what's really interesting about the Akida technology as well, it's playing on such a forefront of next generation technologies. But when looking at competitors, we've heard Brainchip describe it as potentially a few years lead compared to Intel and IBM. We'd love to just hear about the competition and how you're perceiving the competitive landscape at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good question. So, fortunately, as I said before, based off of some conversations I've had with folks that are very involved and experienced in this space, they feel differently. So, what we're doing is extremely unique. It's next generation. Being able to learn on the device, being able to make those adjustments without going to the cloud is a key differentiator. We're at a point where it's coming down to execution, it's coming down to market acceptance, and it's coming down to companies being able to invest in our technology. When it comes to big guys like Intel and IBM and NVIDIA and ARM, I mean, they're the big guys and they know how to execute. That's what they do very well, and they have very good technology. We believe and we feel very strongly that we differentiate ourselves and we have a spot at the table. And with that, it's just comes down to just put it on my shoulders, I guess. But no, we need to execute, and it's an exciting place to be.
We know that Brainchip has a very passionate supporter base of retail investors who are really excited to see the opportunity moving forward. Would love just to hear for those longer term investors who have really followed the journey all the way through, or those prospective shareholders who are now looking at the BRN story. I've heard you previously describe we're just at the tip of the iceberg now. Just any final reflections that you'd like to share with them about what's up ahead?
Well, first of all, for those that do send the emails and kind of the words of encouragement and the cheering, I look at it like a sporting event, and I'm a big sports guy, and I love it. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I can't respond to all of you. That's why we're building out our investor relations strategy so that Tony and some of the other guys can communicate with you guys. But it does not fall on deaf ears. But we are at the tip of the iceberg. And for those that have been involved for a while, I commend you, because you have this vision of something, and it's not a bad vision. For those of you that are on the fence or trying to determine what to invest in, just like myself, I'm an investor in a lot of different technologies and a lot of different stocks, and I've had some good investments and I've had some bad investments. And the thing about startup companies and where we're at, and not only using the word startup, I'm just going to say a new technology, something that's a game changer. You got to be patient, because there's going to be some ups and there's going to be some downs. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to get to the top. And I love the Amazon story, the Google story, even the Apple story. And I remember telling a friend of mine back when we just started investing, and this was a long time ago, and Apple had the Newton, and the Newton looked really cool, but it was a dog. And I remember saying, well, these guys are going nowhere. I mean, you got to invest in IBM. They've got the PC. And I look back at that and say, man, that was the wrong move. And that was a long time ago. And I just think you just need to realize when it comes to these types of investments, it's a process, and you have to be in for the ride. If you're looking for the home run, there's other ways to do it, and maybe you time it right, maybe you don't. But as you know, from an investor standpoint, you just gotta have this level of knowledge about what you're investing in and how you want to go about doing it.
That is the Brainchip story. It's ASX BRN on the ASX, BRC HF on the OTC counters. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Feel free to share it out as well. If you're new here, welcome. We do daily videos, so make sure you've subscribed and turn your bell notifications on. Rob, it was an absolute pleasure. We'll have to do it again sometime, and we're looking forward to seeing where Brainchip heads from here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back on and telling more exciting things about how we've evolved and what's going on. So thank you. And thanks to all the listeners and the viewers. We really do appreciate it.
Best of luck for this next period up ahead. We'll be watching out how commercialization goes. Thanks, Rob.